Good day everyone, welcome to yet another video. This time I will show you what happened from my perspective of the Targa Virginia 2013 race. I raced in the C2 class, which was the Ford GTs, and along with us we had Radicals and Ford Mustangs as well. We started 47 cars I think, and I think about 25 finished. So anyway, I qualified in 7th position. Let's just zoom in here so you can see my time of a 2 minutes 28.840. I could do better, but I just didn't get it together. Got it together in the qualification. So yeah, I was a bit disappointed with it, but yeah. It was a long race of 3 hours, so let's just get started and see how it goes. It's very intense here in the beginning, but afterwards I will probably fast forward to some specific areas, and I'll probably also take note myself of my arrows. Yeah, let's get going. I'm in the green and black car. So far so good. Managed to squeeze up on the inside here of Sean Mayer. Ahead of us is Erik Weidorf. Behind me is Jan-Paul Nihus and Farouk Mansar, I reckon, and also Amjad Yamin. And further up ahead we have Jonathan Fuller, Anders Dahl, Mike Thunison, a couple of other very good drivers, and yeah, it was all set up to be a fantastic race, and it really turned out to be that. So anyway, this is first lap out of about 72 in total, and yeah, let's just get on board here. Sorry for just switching between the cameras. So yeah, I actually let Jan-Paul by here. I thought I totally forgot to look at my rear view mirror, and he took the opportunity there to pass me on the inside. So yeah, lesson learned. I'm really looking forward to seeing all this action again. In the warm-up and qual, I really didn't get the feel for the track and the car. The temperature is about 24 degrees. There's a wind coming from northwest, which is actually direct headwind right now. And it's about 12 kilometers per hour, I think. So we are quite close here already, starting to build a gap down to, let's just see, not working. Yeah, this is Jan-Paul, me and Farouk here, yeah. Yeah, so here's the problems. As always, my controls not being remembered. Seems about right though. Anyway. So, my strategy for this race was to take it easy in the first stint, because with 47 starters there would be a lot of stupid moves, a lot of action going on in the opening part. So if I just stay clear of this, I would probably be able to run to the end. So right now I have some space between me both ahead and behind me, which is kind of nice. And also here I didn't really feel the car underneath me. I had some detachment from it. I don't really know what exactly it was. Maybe it was due to that I put an extra towel on my chair, so the small centimeter of extra towel meant that I was positioned just a little bit more upwards than normally, and that gave me just a little bit more length down to the pedals, and that could be it. I don't know. So right now I am in position 8, started 7th. I'm not at all frustrated or anything like that, because I know it's a long race, so anything can happen. You just gotta stick to it. Still a good gap to Farouk. Oh yeah, I love that part. It doesn't take much to bring the car out of shape. So while we're on this straight, let me just give a wrap-up of who's ahead of me. It's Jan-Paul Nijhuis, Sean Mayer, Erik Weidorf, Jonathan Fuller, Mike Thunesen, Stefan Musela, and Anders Dahl in front, who's my teammate. So we talked on TeamSpeak together and did quite a lot of strategy planning, fuel strategy, and all that stuff during the race. Anyway, yeah, Jan-Paul almost losing it there. Oh, I really love this car, but I really hate this current tire model. Now that I've tasted of the sweet new tire model 5 juice, I no longer adore the model number 4. I really hope they iRacing will release the new tire model for the GT cars in the next build in January. But we shall see. I'm really closing in on Jan-Paul. Excellent. Yeah, I get a good draft. He goes defensive, but I have to give up, at least for now. Behind me, Amjad and Farouk. They're not gone, not at all. Remember this corner. This is, I think it's called NASCAR bend. It has tailwind, a lot of it. I'm not really sure if wind affects the cars that much in reality, but if you have a tailwind and you're going into a corner here, let's say turn 1 or turn 4, this one, the NASCAR bend, it really upsets the car, in a way that the back end just doesn't have that much grip compared to any other corners. I wonder what happened to Jan Paul there. He's really losing a lot of spots. It's just coasting actually. I haven't really found out what happened there, but I took back my 7th position, and now I finally have some clear air ahead of me, so I can catch up to Sean here. Whoa, almost losing it, and that means I have to let Farouk by, so I'm back down into 8th position. Let me just check up on that. Yep, 8th position at the moment. We're back to my car now. Amjad is just cruising around. Apparently he's on the same strategy as I used to be, of just cruising around for this first stint, letting others make their mistakes. I'll probably eat and drink something while this is going on, because after all it's a 3-hour race, and even though I will spool forward, it is a lengthy one, and I don't want my reviews of long endurance races to be short, because I want you guys to see and kind of feel like what it was like to drive it. Those curves, they are so hard. Oops. Yeah, again, this is the awkward view right now, but if we do this, yeah, I can control my track IR, which is cool. So we're on lap 5 right now, still in position 8. It's not really progressing. So yeah, I'm wondering, with all that speed I had in practice and pre-qual, where has it gone? There's nothing that new to the weather settings, so it's probably all down to me. And the only way to find back to that sweet spot of being in control, being in the zone, it's about focus, getting into a rhythm, start doing consistent laps, and basically just break it down into smaller issues, running a bit close to Farouk there. But yeah, breaking it down into single corners. Focus on the corner ahead of you and only that. It's not an easy task, and if everyone could do that all the time, it wouldn't be fun to watch racing at all. Fortunately, people make mistakes and are human beings, except for Rupert Turkle, of course. So we're up to about 250 kilometers per hour up through these S's here. I think they're called the snake corners. and we have a first Ford Mustang on the infield here. It was Stefan Overgaard, by the way. Oh, look at that! It's really cool. We got the 6 cars within, let's say, 2 seconds. That's a good racing right there. So I'm just stepping out a bit to the right there, just to see if any of the guys ahead of me makes a mistake of locking brakes or anything, because then I'm able to correct and avoid a potential incident, which is not what I want to do at this stage at all. And since this is Targa Virginia, there are no fast repairs, so it means if your car is damaged, you are out. At least if you can't race the car anymore, you don't get any second chance, which there are odds for and against, of course. So now we are starting to run into some interesting traffic. These two guys in the Ford Mustangs up ahead, Florian Utz and I think it's Mario Boudry, they're having their own race. So yeah, I'm trying to take advantage of the Sean Mayer and Farouk ahead of me, that they are closer to them. That means I can get a better acceleration out of the corner, and that actually means that I can I'm able to overtake Farouk there. He turned into me. That's it. I stayed as much as I could to the right side there. So yeah, he lost a couple of positions as well. Remember, Amjad, he's still just cruising around there. Oh, that's another. Oh, bent up Mustang there. Oh, not fun to be part of here in the opening stage. We are only on lap 7. This is really the mini Nordschleife. It's truly, it's a long track. It's about 6.5 kilometers, I think. Yeah, I can just squeeze in between here. Yeah, and I make a good gap to the guys ahead. Oh, tight, 3 wide up there. Nice. I think they did alright. So, back down into 7th position. I love this complex as well. It's part of the infield here at the Virginia International Racetrack. It's hard, but if you get it right, you can really gain some time. And Anders, Dahl and I, we actually lowered the ride height in the front, which meant that when we got on the curbs, the first left turn curb, it would actually just skate over the curb. So it lost traction with the wheels, but it would be fast and it wouldn't really upset the car in some way. So how about this? Sean Mayer and Erik Weidhoff side by side. I stick to the inside to try to take advantage, and it works. Unfortunately for Erik and Sean, they have a little bit of a contact there, and it seems like Erik lost 2 positions to Yamin and Jared Lawson. But I'm still stuck behind Sean Mayer here, and the gap ahead is starting to build up a bit, and I participated in this race last year, and I drove the Cadillacs, raced against Dylan Sharman, one of them at least, and I remember the start there where I was stuck behind some traffic cars, and Dylan just disappeared into the distance. And once I got clear of the traffic, he was way over 25 seconds ahead of me. And Dylan Sharman is really the best overall iRacing driver, literary. So he's yeah, it really takes much to beat this guy. But I had the pace last year, so I was able to do it if I really managed to hold on to it. I got second there, finished second position after Dylan, and yeah, so I remember that from last year. So it was not something I wanted this year. So yeah, I'm just squeezing in here. It's really, yeah, there was a gap, and again there's a gap right here. I'm just making sure that Patrick is not turning in on me, so I was a bit cautious there. But I got the position. And we overtook the Ford Mustang leader, the leaders, Rob Turkle and Kimmo Suminen, who had a pretty good battle themselves, I think. But yeah, let me just check up on how the other guys are doing. So I should be in position 7 now. This is Mike in 6th, Fowler in 5th, Ursula can't be. Oh yeah, I won over Egg Lightoff as well, so 2, 3, 4, 5, up into 5th position now. So now we're starting to make progress. So in the last 3 laps I've gained 2 or 3 spots. Now we're talking. And there's a clear track ahead of me, at least for now. We passed the leaders at the Ford Mustang class, so it's all about just going fast forward. I'm faster than Mike here, who did a 35.5 last time, though I did a 36.9, so we were both heavily in traffic. But I knew I was faster than him, so it was just about time before I would catch up to him. And I can see him on the track. Ooh, slow it down. Yeah, but anyway, let's fast forward. I only think this took about 20 minutes or so, where I was in constantly in traffic and in tight battles. So it was a very hard opening part. But yeah, it's just going quick now, going on the racing line. I'm able to set the first quick times. Actually, this is the first time below 2 minutes and 30. And yeah, creeping up on him. I think it was Stefan Aargaard just losing his traction there ahead of me at the oak tree. Just see who that beat up Mustang was. JD Baumgartner. Alright. Too bad for you. I feel bad for you. So this is the battle for 4th position on lap number 13. So we're still in the opening parts. I know that I'm quicker than Mike here, but then again I don't want to force my way through too much. On the other hand, those guys ahead of me, the podium top 3, they are just hammering out normal race pace times. Let me just check what their pace is. I did a 29.5, 39, 36, 31.9 and a 31. So I'm doing the quickest times of top 5. So I'm catching up to all of these guys, at least here on the last lap. Notice this bitch corner here. Yeah, it's called bitch. It's turn number 14, I think. And you have a headwind coming into the corner, so you can brake really, really late. But we had the pre-qualification the day before this race, and there was an eastern wind there, so almost quite opposite of what we have here on this race. And it's really about adapting to the current weather, and I really like that aspect that you it's not just about going quick anymore. It's also about adapting to what's the current status of the track is. And yeah, you really feel it with the weather, especially the winds. And I think it's a bit exaggerated, although I'm not sure because I haven't really raced a real racing car. But it feels very strong. But anyway, in the bitch corner there, you can really brake late. Actually, when we come up to it again, notice that I am able to brake right in the between 4 and 5, the brake markers on the left side. But here in the first stint, where I really didn't have the feel for the car, I was a bit unsure if it would stick up, if I could keep it on the track. It's one of those risk-reward corners, because if you brake after 5 and before 4, you can really brake deep into the corner and be quickly out of there again. So even though you're playing it really risky, you can really gain a lot of time there. So we're coming up to it now, and obviously here I'm going on the inside. I thought he was going to cover, but he wasn't. So yeah, safely braking here. He obviously gets a better exit. And yeah, I got by, so I'm up into 4th position at the moment. And the guys ahead are only about 12 seconds ahead, I think. So it's all good. So I realized I'm into 4th position. The current task right now is to slowly get away from Mike here and slowly decrease the gap to Jonathan Fuller overhead. And with my pace I would be able to do it, but then again I'm starting to make some mistakes, which you can obviously see right here. You can just see him in the mirror. So I'm defending here on the inside, and he's trying to crisscross on the inside. I close the gap. It was really a good battle. While it lasted. Again, I get a bad exit. I know he has greater speed right now, so I'm defending the inside. How's it looking in front of us? Looking clear. I defend. Ooh. It's so tough, this corner. And if you brake too late, you are done, because there are concrete barriers and some extra orange walls. You're just doomed if you brake too late and spin out on the grass there. So it's better to keep it safe. And slowly increase or decrease the braking length there. We're stuck again with some Ford GT traffic and some... Oh yeah, this is the mistake, and I'm actually just going to see this from from outside, because it's just a stupid mistake I make. I go on the outside there thinking, okay, yeah, this Mustang guy, he leaves room for me, there's plenty of space, and I just floor the throttle, and suddenly I just lose racing track underneath me. It just, yeah, the road turned right, and I didn't turn enough. Luckily I escaped the concrete barriers and stuff like that, so I could continue, but yeah, back to 5th position, and slowly starting to go backwards again. So that's a bit of a pain in the ass, actually. Oh, yeah, remember this NASCAR bend. We are not done with that yet. Anyway, back to chasing mode. And how do you do a chasing mode? Probably you do it by racing your own lines and not worrying about how the guy ahead of you is doing. So yeah, whoops, just squeezed by there. So I'm already back up behind Mike here, and we can start all over again. It's funny, I love this part. I give it to Mike, he's more consistent than me at the moment. But I still felt that I was faster. And clearly I was, because I already caught up to him here. Bang, bang, bang. Yeah, slowly decreasing the gap. And again, it's mainly in the braking zones that I gain some time. I get a good exit here. I'm able to draft. getting closer and closer and closer. Oh, going 3 wide there for a moment. Fortunately, the Mustang guy was aware of us. So I'm trying to take advantage of this because now if Mike had to just wait a sec there in order to be clear and could throttle, I was able to just floor it immediately, and then I would maybe be able to get him before the snakes. But no. Seems to me that he was a bit uncertain here at the oak tree complex. I've never had issues with oak tree corners in the Ford GT. It really comes natural to me. And I'm on the inside maybe. I should have braked just a little bit later, but then again I didn't want to hit Mike here. We are still only on lap 18 out of 72, so it's, yeah, don't take any risks yet. But it's on, it's really, really on. And we have, yes, Bob Pedersen behind us. I was on the TeamSpeak with Jesper here as well, and I asked him if he could wait to overtake us before the straight here, and he said, "Yeah, okay, let's do it." So I'm quite a bit away from Mike at this stage, and I'm thinking, all right, let's have another go at some other stage, but. Suddenly I really get a lot of grip here, and I managed to just dip into the corner before Mike did. And yeah, what you can't see here is that I actually locked my rear brakes, and that meant, fortunately, that I lost control of the car. You can see it there, just totally sideways, nothing I could do, and a tank slapped me, and Mike was trying to, of course, go on the inside to avoid me, and yeah, I just hit him on the rear right, fortunately. Not too proud of that, because in the end it was my fault that I couldn't keep it on the track, and yeah. It's such an unlucky event because yeah, it was me spinning and I ended up hitting Mike there. He spun, I think he had some damage, so I'm really sorry about that. But yeah, then again, if you see an incident up ahead, it's really better to slow down and wait for the car to settle before you determine if you take left or right, but that's definitely easier said than done. So not the outcome I would have wanted for this little battle here in the main battle. But it's one of those episodes of a true endurance race where you do some good stuff and you do some bad stuff, and yeah, I apologize to Mike for this, and we had a good battle, and yeah. Anyway, let's get back to it. So status is right now on lap 19, and I'm in position number 4. Let me just check up on that. Jonathan Fuller into the pits already. And I'm coming here. So he's on a kind of a different strategy. I'm passing him here. So I'm going up into 3rd position, I think. What my strategy was to start with 81 liters, fill it up twice with 81 liters, and then in the end make a splash and dash of 35 liters. And I think what Fuller did was to equal the amount that he had to fill out on all 3 stops. So that instead of 2 stops with max fuel, he would do about 60 liters in all of them. So that meant that he would dive sooner into the pits, maybe. Yeah. Fill it up all the way up to the top, and then run it totally down. Fill it up twice again. So yeah, he's kind of splitting the strategy there. Maybe he was in traffic or battled with the guys ahead. Now I think we should have, let's see his laps. This is Stefan Musela and Anders Daly. Still battling. I really hope Anders or Stefan make a video of their own battle here, because it's probably very interesting. But yeah. So now it's time to fast forward again, because yeah, I'm in 3rd position, going off track there. Still not feeling that comfortable. It's still the 1st stint. Oh, going into the pits. So that's it, 1st stint. And that's on lap 21, which is kind of scheduled. I was actually able to do 1 lap more than Anders and Stefan Musela, which meant that being stuck behind all that traffic in the opening parts, I actually saved about 4 liters there. And 4 liters is almost a click in the fuel settings, where you determine how much fuel you want in the pit stops. So if I manage to just save 1 more liter, I would actually be able to save time in the pit stop by fueling less. So let me just get this straight again. Sean Mayer is here. This is Fuller. And Anders Dahl and Stefan Musela has crossed, so I'm back down into 5th position right now. So, 1st stint done and dusted. Wasn't my best stint here. Had some off tracks, had the incident with Mike. Yeah, but I was, oh, we see a Mustang ahead, just avoiding that. Getting some draft of a Mustang. Yeah, 1st in, not the best, but I was starting to feel the car now. I don't think it has something to do with the engine being hotter or something like that. It's only my own driving starting to become better, and by having a clear track ahead of me from the get-go, I knew how the car would feel. So that's a better certainty within me at this stage. Sean in fourth position is just up ahead. So let's see if we can catch him. Yeah, lap 23 now. Traffic. Kudos to the Ford Mustang drivers for really just sticking to their lines and really be transparent in their moves. Thanks a lot, guys. Going off track. Stuck behind Mustang up through Snake is never good. You lose about 2-3 seconds. But I'm still gaining here on Sean Meyer, and in the fast forward you can see that I gain the time again in the braking zones. The car's really stable in the braking zones. So now I am once again battling for fourth position. I can try to explain how I deal with this when I'm definitely quicker than the guy ahead and I'm catching up to him. So the first part is to catch up to this guy, and that is to really just drive 100% until you are within 0.6 of a second. Then you are starting to, if you're not careful, you start to drive his lines, starting to brake where he's braking, and that's not quicker. That's just duplicating what he's doing, and that way you won't. Well, and that way you won't win anything. So, but then on the other end, you don't want to force any incidents, and you can't just muscle your way through. So you just have to hover there for a second behind the guy and see what he's doing, so you can take an advantage of that. And by knowing your own lines and ways to deal with this track, you can you might see some places where you are able to make the move. I was thinking of turn 1 or bitch corner, turn 14, but luckily for me he halfway spun in the infield. Oh, that radical was almost out on the grass there, and that's also really risky. So way back to 4th position, and currently I have more fuel than Fuller. He has to do a pit stop a bit earlier than me. In the end, that means I have to do less, have to have less waiting time in the pits than he does. So even though he's ahead of me, let's see where he is. Yeah, he's at bitch corner right now, and I'm coming out to the oak tree, so it's about 20 seconds. I might gain that. All right, great. Good pass there by a Radical. Just classic, going on the inside, out braking. Last lap was 2:31.5. And that was including avoiding Sean Mayer right here. Let's fast forward again. We are on lap 29 right now. Coming up to some traffic, slow for GT. Patrick Beery. I really feel that I met him many times in the race. Probably I did. But I really feel that I only met him here at the infield. Oops, yep. What's happening here? Probably I brake where I have to brake, but I don't brake as much as I should. 80%. Car just gets unstable. Let me just check up on that again. So I'm starting to turn in. Yeah, that's the reason. If you look at my brake pedal while releasing it, okay, it's really slow motion now, but you can see that I'm releasing it way too fast. That means the rear end suddenly gets relatively way too much speed than the front, and that means that the rear overtakes the front and I'm spinning. So big question is, did I acknowledge what I did there? No, I did not. Instead I was thinking, I didn't brake enough or something. Maybe I should try to brake even more. But as you might saw on the braking pedal status, I was already braking at least 85%, and I think 90% is kind of maximum of what you can do in the initial part of the braking zone. So I couldn't really do much more. So I did not realize that the issue was about releasing the brake pedal too quick. Anyway, let's move on. Lost about 8 seconds there. Not what I wanted, because right now Fuller is about 30 seconds ahead of me, and Stefan Musela and Anders Dahl is even further up. Right. This is Fuller. Let's check up on that. Okay, Anders is here. Fuller's here, so he's up into second. Oh yeah, right, I remember now. Something happened to Stefan Musela actually. He had some incident I think, and he dropped out. So now I'm trying to do that thing which I concluded from my incident on the turn 1 last lap, that I was braking too little. So now I'm locking the brakes. What a douche. And when you brake even more, it takes much less when releasing the brake pedal before it turns into another incident, because there's more brake pedal distance to release in basically shorter time, so it gets even harder. I am screwed. Anyway, lap 33, 34 out of 72, so almost making it to halfway. And as you might see, the track is finally clear of the worst drivers, relatively speaking. Sorry, there are a lot of unfortunate drivers as well, but at least the hardcores are back, and then there is me. So braking here. Sorry, and let's watch the brake pedal again. Whoop. Yeah, rear end overtaking the front. Luckily, I did not hit that wall hard. Same issue, basically. It's a left turn, it's where I have tailwind, so the rear is light in the first place. And it's just not working out right now. So now I'm starting to brake a little bit early for the corners, which means that I'm losing time. It's just not working out. Until I realize that I am releasing the brake pedal way too quickly. And I don't know if I realized it at this stage right here, but I will soon. And after applying that thought, I am back into the game. 2:31 here, so it could be around here. And yeah, I totally forgot it. It's a vital thing in the Corvette. It's a vital thing in the 4GTs. It's where I make the mistakes. It's by releasing the brake too quickly. There's some traffic here. It was a long race, and in some way I'm sad that I have to skip all this stuff in between, because it's not that action-packed, but when you are racing, it's one of the best things about an endurance race. Meeting Patrick Berry here at the infield, because you get to lay down the laps consistently and quick. Excellent. All right, now I get the feel for it. So here, this is the last full stop where I fill 81 liters. And I should say that in the first stop I actually lost about 5 seconds, because the lollipop man, he released the lollipop and then he put it down again. And then I mashed the throttle, and then he raised it again, and then I could go. So I don't know really what happened there. It was maybe I was unfocused just for a sec there. So it's time to just get to know where I am currently. Probably in 4th or 5th position. Farouk hasn't done his stop yet. Jared Lawson hasn't done his stop yet, I think. This is Fuller. Left. And alright. I am effectively in 3rd position at the moment. Whoops. Yeah. That was actually one of the worst overtakes I've noticed through this. But then again, I only saw it from my perspective. I actually thought that he was going to wait, but yeah, it felt worse because I started to turn in and then whoops, when he appeared. And he was just outside of my viewing angle. Let's just take a moment here to... screw that. I only record about 15 of the cars simultaneously, so some cars pop in and out when I'm too far away from them. So let's just get back to the action here. Although I want to skip through the parts. So this is the third stint. The third out of 4. We are on lap 44. I'm doing 2:38 with traffic. That was a lot of traffic, and you could really be unlucky. I was very unlucky in the beginning, as I lost 15-20 seconds to Anders up ahead, just because of big traffic bunches in the infield. I met that twice with the other guys, but yeah, in the end Anders had some traffic issues in the infield as well. Mustang going off there. This is really going quick, and passing the leaders of the Mustang class. They are still close. Just clocking the laps in. Yeah, definitely here I'm aware of my issue with releasing the brake pedal too quickly. So I'm now back down into the 29 times, and I can push it even longer. Let's see how it goes next time we come up to bitch corner, how my braking is. Will be exciting. 2:28.8 last lap. Yeah, so okay, so I'm still braking at the 5 marker. But I reckon it won't take long before I acknowledge that I can brake much later here. Just going to see what's happening over ahead. Still lap traffic. Laps. Yeah, so Fuller is all the way around. He has done 3 stops right now, I think, and I've done 2. But he's low on fuel, so I think he has to come in really soon. Oh yeah. Bit of a bad call there. I would always take the left side instead. That, and I couldn't see Anders there, unfortunately. But I'm still definitely in 3rd position, because at this stage Anders, Dale and I was wondering where is Fuller on the track, because Anders and I did basically the same strategy of just filling two stops with fuel, and apparently Fuller did some odd strategy with not filling it up to the top 3 times. So yeah, we were wondering how much time he had to spend in the pit. But I really just got the car under my skin at this stage. lap 52. That's about 20 laps left, and that equates to something like an hour or so, or one full stint. So yeah, we have about an hour to go at this stage. This is Fuller, lap 53. He is in this pit, right there, right in there. So I'm going by, and now let's see where he gets out. He knows that I'm past, and if you can see it, I'm actually running there on the opposite side, just passing there. On the split time, it was about 19 seconds apart. 19 seconds is not a lot if you, as I had to fill 35 liters. So you have to come in, go slow, go 72 kilometers per hour, stop the car, fill it up. So I chose not to take any tires for the last stint, and while Anders took 40 liters, I was gambling a bit, and I took 35 liters because I knew I saved about 4 liters in the opening stint, and I would be about 2 liters ahead in case we ran without any traffic. So yeah, I was okay certain that I would be clear on my last stop. All right. So again, we can actually just wave hello to each other. He's running out there on the track to the right, and I'm running on the infield. .29.4 last time, and he just got out of the pits, but yeah. Anders had some laps where he could see him on the F3 relative tab, and he figured that Fuller was doing about 2:31s in average, and I was doing about 2:30s at this stage, so I was gaining about 1 second per lap, and I think at this stage I had about 35 liters left, so let's just clock the laps in until we get to the final pit stop. It might take a while. Lap 55. The track is really clear now. Not much going on. But still 25 cars finishing. It's a good result because the track is really hard to finish on. And there are many places like turn 3 where if you lose it and go out on the grass, you are done for the day, because as you can see there are some walls just at the trees there, and they are tough. .234 with traffic. Still going alright, and the car's just handling smoothly. Just getting into some Mustang traffic there, not what I wanted. 38. I was really pushing because I needed the gap to increase. Let's see where he is. He's coming up to pit corner right now. And I'm actually starting to exit it. So yeah, it was just over there. So that meant at the current stage I had the length of the infield to do my pit stop and get out of it again and get up to speed. .31.8, not a good lap, but I was in traffic. Lap 62, so 11 laps remaining. But yeah, 11 laps doesn't sound like much, but yeah, it's they are 2.5 minutes each, so that's still about half an hour. Nope, still not pitting. Yeah, we are pitting. Alright, so I'm going in, and Fuller is midway through the infield. So I only need 35 liters, no tires, only changing windshield, that's it. How are we doing? I really hate it when you are just stuck. So has he gone by? Nope, he's just crossing the finish line right now, and I'm going right here. The gap is 10 seconds. Somehow, all through this thing, I managed to close the gap to Fuller virtually and gain 10 seconds, and we would both be able to finish to the end somehow. So yeah, with about 20-25 minutes to go, I'm now in second position. Anders Dahl is way ahead of me. There's not much I can do about that. But yeah, if I could finish in second, it would be a victory for me, because I started in 7th position, and yeah. So lap 64. So that's 8 laps left. And now I'm starting to get a bit nervous, and it's silly because I am the recent laps showed that I am quicker than Fuller, and I still have 10 seconds of a gap. So even though he's pushing it, I probably still would make it. With that comes sort of a little uncertainty about the fuel strategy, because yeah, well, I filled 5 liters less than Anders, and I wasn't really sure about this strategy. It was a gamble after all, and so in some way I wanted to save a bit of fuel, but then again I could just see Fuller. He was just really going at it. Yeah, braking between 3 and 4 here. Move. Meanwhile, we have kind of driving conservatively for some reason. And yeah, that's not something that works for me that well. I need to go at least 90%, or else I'll start making mistakes. Meeting Patrick Berry here in the infield for a change. Alright, 66 out of 72. He's 8 seconds behind me, and no. And he's just coming right here. He can see me. Oh, this is so... Damn, this is so... something. Okay, so I managed to get back on the track just ahead of Fuller. It's on. Lap 66. Still got 6 full laps to go. It's on. It's so much on. He knows it, I know it, and god damn. What you're about to see right now, guys, is a fine battle. And let's just start with going on board with Fuller, because he's 100% right now. And since I lost all the time I had, I am done with the conservative driving. I need to push 100% to stay in front of Fuller, because Fuller is not a slow guy at all. He's consistent. He's clever, and yeah, it would really take much of me to stay ahead. The advantage I had was that I was still in front, so I could do some conservative defensive driving, and on paper I would still be quicker than him. At least that's how the difference between us previously was. I didn't know if he had some kind of a sleeve up his arm, if you can call it that, sorry. He's driving just a little bit, going out there to scare me. Oh yeah. Oh, no. I want to go back and see what I did wrong there. Where did I brake? Okay. 4-5, turned in too early. And did I release the brake too quick? Yeah. You just notice it down there. Whoop. And it's gone. So that's why I lost it there. Neo. Ah, god damn it. And we have 5 laps until the checkered flag. And I just said to myself, no, it can't be true. It can't be true that I'm losing 10 seconds to Fuller and that he's going to win the second position just in front of me. So now the roles are completely opposite. I'm able to get the draft from him, and still I had the feeling that I was quicker than him. So I could do this. I could fucking do this. And what you're seeing right now is, okay, I wasn't smiling at this stage myself when I was driving, but I'm smiling right now because this is what it is about. again, and he's going out there. So yeah, squeezing in. Oh, it's tight. Yeah, I'm trying to squeeze him just a little bit because, yeah, he's not going to have too much room there. And I am in front of him again. How about that? Just turn this around. Oh shit, traffic up ahead. And probably he's thinking the same as I did just the lap before. Oh, I actually didn't see that. Yeah, he's going at it 100%. He's stuck behind this Mustang now. I remember I got a gap up to about 1.2 seconds. Or 2.2, sorry. So 5 laps to go. This gap is possible. It's definitely possible. He's sliding around down there. But yeah, I'm smiling because this is really fantastic endurance racing. Managed to survive the first 2.5 hours, and then you get to really go quick in the last part. That's how it's supposed to be, and I'm feeling lucky that I get to experience this. And I really hope that Fuller enjoyed the race, though he only won 3rd position. Ah, just blew it there. Yeah, I win. Hot damn it. But 69. It's going to be close. He's just sticking to me like a angry small dog. Yeah, traffic up ahead. So let's see if I can time this correctly. Full throttle, full throttle, full throttle. And yeah, thanks. Just gotta do it. So is he going by? No, he's stuck behind. He hasn't given up yet, that's for sure. And I'm still going 100%, as you can see. Maybe I shouldn't have done that by now, but it just takes one small mistake and then you are out. Look at the sparks over the curves there, cutting, well, not cutting the corner, but cutting in over the curves. I got some off-track points there, I would say. Seems like he, I don't know. This is lap 70. let's just take a lap on board here. Last lap 29.5. Jonathan getting stuck behind Sean Mayer. Whoa! Oh yeah, I almost lost it there. And if I did, it would be the end. Because somehow Fuller is only a second behind me now. We are 1.5 laps to go. It's not over yet. Oh, sorry, 2 laps actually. Excellent. Simply just a fantastic race. Yeah, you've experienced the downs with the incident with Mike, and you experienced the highs with all the great racing, and fortunately for me, the great outcome of the battle between me and Fuller. So yeah, I finish in 2nd position. And I finish, I don't know, 50 seconds behind Anders in 1st position. And I must say a big congratulations to Anders Dahl and Robert Turkler for finishing both my own Nero race at the Bathurst, the 3-hour race, and also this one. They both won their respective classes in both races, and that's really outstanding work. I managed to get a 2nd here, which I am so pleased with. It's 2nd place, 2nd year in a row, but alright, 1st year I was battling iRacing, the number 1 in iRacing, and this year I was battling my own faults by qualifying in 7th, and also battling between some of the best, Jonathan here, and also not being able to catch up to Anders because, well, him and Rupert are just the 2 Mr. Super Sunday drivers. They really know what it takes to be a great endurance sim driver. So we are on to the last lap. And let me just show you the the results. Maybe I can just squeeze them in here while the other things are running. Yeah, that's alright, I think. So yeah, overall I actually finished in the 7th position. That's not too bad. And I did a 28.06 as the fastest, and I think it was only Jan Paul Nihus who did 27 times, so very pleased with my pace. The average pace was 2 minutes 33, just a little bit quicker than Fuller, apparently. But yeah, I had 22 incidents, could have done much less, but those stupid spins just made it up for that. Overall, so pleased with the result. And yeah, now it's just finishing the last lap. I would say that I'm still very nervous here because I got Mike, who I accidentally hit earlier, ahead of me, and I got the wild beast of Fuller behind me, still wanting to get my position. So it's definitely not over, but yeah, I'm thinking that Jonathan still needs to catch up to me and pass me before he gets my position, and that simply wouldn't come true. Some of the last corners here to complete, and we are done with the Targa Virginia 2013, and also done with the endurance races of 2013. I haven't participated in that many myself, but I've hosted about 8 to 10 races myself in the new endurance series. And yeah, again, so pleased with the result here. Just going to fast forward to the end here, where I meet up with my Danish mates of Jesper Pedersen, who won the C1 class, the radicals, and also Anders Dahl, who won the C2 class. Let's get a zoom in on this. Yeah, go on, Fuller. Be a part of it. Yeah. Nice. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you had fun watching this, and hopefully learned just a thing or two. So see you.